In a time before time, the Sartell High School Band was amazing. It won numerous awards in drumline, jazz band, marching band, and the wind ensemble. Now, the Sartell drumline is gone, and there is no marching band. The band is shrinking. Why? That's what I'm going to find out.
I'm here with the band director of the Sartell High School Band, Mr. Gordon Schlichting, and I've got a couple of questions for him. One would be, Mr. Schlichting, how do you feel of the numbers of the band having shrunk from 80 to only 30?
Well, certainly it's disappointing. You know, I love to have an ensemble of a lot of students, and you know, it impacts the sound and of the band, and you know, more people is more fun. You know, but you know, I'm really happy with the group that we have. But yeah, I'd love to have more numbers.
All right. Does it seem odd that there are just so few? Like, what really made the difference that was such a giant band and now is so little?
I think it's, you know, this year we had a change in scheduling, so students had to kind of make a decision between being in other classes or being in band, and you know, so that forced kids to make a choice, and it's a difficult choice to make. I'm sure any of those students that we don't have in the room really spent a lot of time deciding what it was that they were able to fit in their schedule and how they were able to accommodate their desires and what their needs were. You know, but I think reflecting on where we've gone, you have to look at it more from last year when we had 80 students to this year having 38, 40 students, to looking at kind of the trend throughout the many years that the numbers have been dwindling as we've been going along here. It's not just an all of a sudden, it looks really bad this year, but it's been a long-term problem for a long time, and I think it all reflects upon there being a lot of different choices for kids to make, whether it be classes that they want to take, rigorous classes, post-secondary options, senior to sophomore. There's a lot of choices. I kind of like make it analogy to Old Country Buffet. You can go there and have a little bit of everything, or you can have just a couple things on the menu. And I think there's a lot of students that are trying to take a lot of things, and that's a really good opportunity for kids to have that, to have that liberal arts education. But it impacts how many kids are able to stay in the band.
What would you think of having an orchestra band?
I think having an orchestra band would be really cool. I know that sounds kind of lame, but just concert band versus orchestra band would be a whole different type of music, whole different type of learning just for band as well.
So what do you two think about having an orchestra band?
I really think it'd be amazing because we could add it to the choirs, and it would give us more diversity in the pieces we could do, like for band and choir. So it would help all our music parts.
See, I have to disagree because our band program is really suffering right now as it is. I think if we were to change the program at all, we'd have uneven instrumentation, and that would be really tough. That would be really detrimental to our sound.
What is your feelings about having possibly an orchestra band?
Having orchestra, I think, it's something that a school of our size should have an orchestra. I've played in orchestras. It's a good opportunity for kids to experience another idiom, another style of music. I would hope it doesn't replace the band. I think orchestra is just another style, another form for students to pursue their music education and music experience. So I'm a supporter of that, and hopefully that it's not a situation where students are in competition with each other.
So in other words, it's kind of like the choir having multiple choirs. It'd be like there'd be a wind ensemble band and then a orchestra band.
Well, I think you know, it's not really orchestra band, it's orchestra. Most orchestras are predominantly stringed instruments, and so we'd have perhaps a wind ensemble and an orchestra. And you know, my experience from a lot of other area schools that have orchestral programs, their orchestra is for the most part just string instruments, and their wind players, if they do have wind players and make their orchestra a symphony orchestra, they're pulling those students in from the wind ensemble or the band to be part of that group, but it's not necessarily those wind players aren't rehearsing with the strings on a regular basis. The orchestral music is written string heavy, lots of string players, lots of string parts. Their parts are generally more demanding than the wind parts. So a lot of times you'll have wind players from high school symphony orchestras that play in their band every day of the week. And as it gets closer to the concert, they handpick some of those wind players out of the band to join the string group to make it into a symphony orchestra. Or maybe it's a situation where, you know, 4 days of the week they're in band and 1 day of the week they go rehearse with the strings. But very seldom do you find high school orchestral programs that are full symphony orchestras and that they rehearse 5 days a week, or every day, every rehearsal is full ensemble winds and strings. It just, the demands that are placed on the string players, wind players end up sitting around for a lot of time, so they don't waste the students' time that much.
Right. Could you make a really, really good sounding band with just the small numbers that you have?
Absolutely, I think we've done that already this year. You know, our fall concert that we had, you know, back in October was a fantastic success in my estimation. I really enjoyed listening to the band and the recording of that concert, and the group. We faced some instrumentation challenges on the first day of school, and very quickly a few students stepped up and volunteered to put in some extra effort and help fix our balance issues. So we picked up a French horn, we picked up a tuba player, a euphonium player, an oboe player, and we've added a couple more voices to the band now since that concert. So having 38 students doesn't mean you're not going to have a really great sounding group. I think when this group continues to mature over the next month and we get to our concert in December, this is going to be a really fantastic sounding band because we've got a really great balance instrumentation wise. So nothing that says a 38 members ensemble can't be fantastic.
We're here with Renelle Uran, and we were just wondering, what do you think about having the pep band at volleyball games?
The pep band has been a great encouragement to have a home court advantage, and also to see other kids participate in our home activities. So for us, it's been a great benefit.
We are also here now with John Ross, coach of the football team. We were wondering, what do you think about having the pep band at all the football games?
I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy the atmosphere and that the pep band creates, and I think it gets people in a kind of that festive mood, and it's a very visible sign of support for the teams and the activities that are going on. So I think it's a great part of you know, our events that we put on, and really enjoy seeing the pep band perform.
And then one more question: do you think that it'd be better to keep the pep band for the whole game, or if they could just leave at halftime like they usually do?
I guess I haven't really considered that as far as the differences. I think, and it may be situational, sport by sport. Sometimes in some sports there's more opportunity prior to the game, you know, and maybe at halftime, you know, time to perform. Some sports don't allow much for performances, you know, in, let's say, the second half or towards the end. So I think that's a decision that probably should be up to the director and the choir, or the pep band themselves.
A few questions on the pep band then. Do you think it'd be really good to have the pep band play through the whole football game and not just until the half?
Yeah, I think my thoughts on that are that the band students are really involved. You know, some of you are involved in a lot of other activities, whether it be other arts things like, you know, the drama of one-act play, or the musical, or speech, or there are other athletics. You've got your own things going on as well besides band. And so I think in a number of cases, we think about our student athletes. Oh, they're really busy. They're taking this full load of classes, and then they also have games on Friday night, or on Tuesdays and Thursdays they got matches, or they got a big tournament on Saturday or whatever. But we have some of those students that are that busy. They're students and they're athletes, and then they're also part of the band. So, Carl Schleppenbach carries a rigorous load academically, goes and plays a soccer game, and he's playing pep band. So he's got a third thing on his schedule. So to ask students perhaps to put in all that extra time, and then that's a lot to ask of them. And then beyond that, I also look at what's left for the students to stay after halftime. The pregame, we've got 20-25 minutes worth of playing that we do before the game. During the halftime, we get a couple songs in there, and there's some dead time there that we can fill. But after halftime, all we would play for is when we score and play in between the quarter break. And I think that's a lot to ask the students to stick around for not a lot of return. And then we also have to look at the transportation issues, that being that we have a bus that we share with the football team. If we were to stay to the end of the game, somebody would be walking back to the high school, whether it be the band or being the football team. And those players have been tired and worked hard, so we want to give them the ride. And nobody wants to walk from the football field, right? So it's a good way for us to get out of the game, and we've kind of fulfilled our duties and given everybody an opportunity to have some time to relax and enjoy the game or whatever they want to do that night.
Right. And then final question. If this were to bring in more students for the band, would you ever make pep band a optional thing?
It's pep band being an optional thing. It's been down that road before here at Sartell. 15 years ago, before I came here, pep band was an optional part of the program. You didn't have to play pep band to be in the band. I don't know that it was not very successful as far as the pep band goes. You didn't necessarily know who you were going to have show up from night to night, and whether that was going to result in a good ensemble that was going to represent our school and our music program well. That was kind of hit or miss. And I think pep band is one of those opportunities for the group to kind of grow and develop and get to know each other. It's a good bonding, team building kind of activity that and it's a great opportunity. It's kind of a perk for being in band. Hey, you get to go to the games for free. You get to have some pretty good seats, and it's a fun thing for us to do. So I think the students that maybe are avoiding being in the wind ensemble or being in the band because they're afraid of what pep band might be, give it a shot, because pep band can be pretty fun. And I think a lot of the students that do it find that it's a good opportunity to get together with their friends, and so it's not the drag that some students think it is. And the students also believe that if they are in band, they have to be in pep band, which means they can't play basketball, or they can't be on the football squad, or they can't be on the swim team. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. We make accommodations for that, and allow students to be in multiple activities. So it's not ever been the situation that some students think it is. And it would be different. Right now we're in a situation where we have 38 students in the band, so it would be different if we had like 100 students in the band and it was a volunteer pep band. We could pretty much guarantee that we were going to have 50, 60, 70 kids there every night. Then it'd be a different thing. But right now we're at 38 students in pep band. If we made it an option and we have 12 show up, now we're in trouble. So that's the way it is.
All right, thank you.
It's been known that the band has been shrinking for some time. What causes it? That's for you to decide.